Hey guys, my name is RyanCentral and welcome to HitScan. Today we're going to be talking about the new skin set that's coming into the game with the next patch, which is all tomorrow. Be sure to subscribe for the patch notes and all that. And this is the Magepunk set. This includes a Ghost, a Spectre, a Bucky, a Marshall, and an Electro Blade melee. It's a premium edition tier, meaning that the bundle costs about 6,700. And in this video we're going to highlight all of the stuff in here, the upgrades that you can get, the finisher, the kill banner. The only thing that we don't get to talk about in this video are the variants, because I think there's a YouTube interview happening with another YouTube channel with the devs, so those variants are going to have to wait until tomorrow where we have a bit more information on them. But I can flat out tell you what they are, but we'll get to it. As I've been rambling about what's included, we start with the Ghost, which is a super nice set. And as we move on to the various guns in the set, I actually just want to let the video play out so you can have a good listen to the gun, because a lot of you were asking about that in previous feedback. So here's the Ghost. Whilst I've been talking, we've been going through the various upgrades so you can start to see all of the different effects that you get, and I really like the electric feel that you have in the actual gun, but it's very steampunky, right? It's very locomotive, it feels engineered, and of course you get a look at the kill animation with the finisher. And I did want to say real quick on the finisher, this is another really good one, and I think Valorant doesn't get quite enough appreciation with how good the kill finishers are in this game. I think this is highlighted the most in tournaments like Masters, where each of the different players seems to have a different skin, an Elder Flame, a Reaver, and you see all of these kill animation finishers coming out, and you really get to see just how unique they all are, but how you can clearly see which one's the Elder Flame, which one is for the Reaver, the Glitch Pop, the Prime set, and this is another one that's added to that list. Another S tier animation that you can clearly see is for the Magepunk set. Even if you know nothing about the guns, you can easily make that connection in your head. I really like the Ghost, but now let's move on to the Bucky, which I think wins the award for biggest glow up. I do think a lot of the Bucky skins across all of the different bundles do just look similar, because the Bucky is a very hard weapon to work with, especially when it comes to supernatural elements like magic and the ethereal and all that jazz. And I think they've absolutely nailed the look on this. You still know that it's a Bucky. It does look a little bit shorter, to be honest, but you definitely know that this is a Bucky, right? But it's also the prettiest Bucky that we've ever got. So let's take a quick listen to it. There's less of an electric effect on this gun for the reasons that I mentioned, but you still know exactly what this skin is meant to be. But now that we move on to the Marshall, we need to now look at the guns themselves, and realistically, this is the question that I'm asking myself about picking up this bundle. Do I actually use these guns on a regular basis? And the answer for me, and I imagine a good portion of you, is no. I don't really use the Marshall, I don't really use the Bucky on a regular basis. Now, there's a lot of skins like that in the game, you know, even the Frenzy, the Ares, the Odin. There's always going to be guns in a bundle that you don't really get to use, but the elephant in the room is, of course, that this skin set doesn't have a Phantom, doesn't have a Vandal, doesn't have an Operator or a Classic, you know, those very common guns that you see in the game. This was a big problem with skin sets like Sovereign very early days, but I think for this skin set, it doesn't really matter that there's not a major gun in here, because the problem with the Sovereign is, like I mentioned, it was early days, it was the second skins bundle that we ever got after the Prime, so there was a market and people desiring more Phantom Operator skins because we didn't have any at that point. This skin set, it's off the back of Celestial, Anime Go, even Glitch Pop that had all three of the major guns in there. So whilst it's a bit of a negative that we don't have a Phantom, Vandal or Operator in this bundle, it would be super nice to have them. A, we've had plenty of really good Vandal, Phantom and Operator skins recently. B, we might get these in the future with a Magepunk 2.0. I'm not saying that's definitely happening, but if that's what people want to see, let the devs know in the comments below and maybe they'll start working on it. Before we move on, I know I've played the Marshall about 100 times since I was talking about this. Let's have a quick listen to it. Now we move on to, I imagine, the most popular gun out of the set, being the Spectre. And again, this might be one of the most beautiful Spectre skins in the game at this point. It just looks so good. You have the electric magic effect, but the locomotive style that's been mentioned. You've got the engine parts on the side, the fuel gauge in the center. When you expect it, you really get to appreciate that this is not only one of the most beautiful Spectres, but one of the most beautiful skin sets that we've ever had, I think. Like, I'm always super excited to see new skins, obviously, but I don't think I fawned over a skin set as much as this one when it comes to how beautiful it is. And believe me, I'm not one of those people that's super hype into the steampunk look. I think they've just nailed it with the aesthetic and what it's meant to be. And for the Spectre, this is what it sounds like. Now that we move on to the knife, this is the only thing that I'm not super passionate about. I'll link the level 1 version first so you can have a good look at that, then we'll take a look at the second. But I feel like this is the part of the bundle that's the least unique, because not so much that we've seen this skin set a lot of times, but certainly with the equip animation, it's very similar to the Playzilla set that we got around Christmas. Obviously, it's the same animation because the devs have said that there's various archetypes in how the knife animations work, so that's always going to be similar. But I think this is just personal preference. I'm the guy that likes the big axes, the big swords, so when I get a small knife like this, I'm personally never going to be really hyped, but again, really curious on what you guys think, because this is the only part of the bundle that I'm not super sold on. But even then, now that I've sort of showed off everything, we'll go through all of the skins again and then show off a bit of the concept art and some of the other stuff that was sent to us a little bit early. I think the question you should be asking yourself if you want to pick up this bundle is, how often do you use the Ghost? How often do you use the Marshal, the Bucky, and the Spectre? For me, the answer's not enough to really justify picking it up, but I genuinely might just pick up the Spectre on its own because I really, really like that. But it's worth adding that in the bundle you also get a card, a spray, and 2 buddies as well. The buddy, this was the thing that was teased just before Christmas by the devs. I don't think we'll get a look on the card or the spray, but I'll be sure to include those in the patch notes video tomorrow. Now that we've gone over that, let's look over the concept art and look over some of the questions that were asked to Sean Marino and Preeti in the dev quote sheet. One of the main questions was, what were the goals designing Magepunk? And this is really interesting for those who are expecting a steampunk set. You shouldn't, is the short answer. They were working on the skin set a long time ago, says Sean. Back then we were still trying to figure out what the range of our skins were going to be, and we knew that we didn't want to have generic themes for our skins. We wanted to actually craft alternate universes. Originally this started out as a steampunk exploration, and typically you have a lot of oily brass, copper and gears everywhere. We've seen this a lot in games and other media and just didn't want to be another generic version of a fantasy that already exists. They set out to make their own universe. We set to work out on a design and make it feel like it came from a different world than you would typically see with steampunk. We developed a full backstory and technology source for it, where instead of electricity being discovered at the turn of the century, it was magic. And this discovery pushed society much further, and we see the technology of that era starting to fuse with more modern designs. We still wanted to show where the actual physical technology was at the time, so we decided to include mechanical joints to each weapon so it would have that mild locomotive feel from the 19th century. But now I want to talk about the variants, because we actually do know what the variants are. Instead of the actual skin changing on these guns in the variants, it's actually the electric visual effect in the gun. So the normal one is blue, but for the variants you have green, purple and orange, and there is a reason for this. Preeti also says that this skin set was actually meant to come out at the end of 2020 with Act 3 for Episode 1. But it got delayed a few times despite players having hints of it existing, like we talked about. When designing the skin set, we had to think about how to make something like steampunk but make it not so generic or expected, similar to what Sean was saying before. But Preeti also says another challenge was that we had to make variants for this skin set. And because it was so early in development, at the time we were going pretty far with our variants, doing a large change to colour, texture and material, and the moment that they removed some of those brass and metallic elements from the weapons, it didn't really fit the theme of Magepunk anymore. So ultimately what felt the most right from an experience perspective was to keep the base version of the materials but changed the colour of the magical energy. So the variants don't change all that much. You can probably imagine how they're going to look based off the colours, but again, that might be the difference on what you guys want. Maybe you want a purple or orange visual effect in the middle of the gun, and that will fit what you're looking for a little bit more. But that's everything that sort of came from the devs talking about this, and that's everything that I wanted to talk about in this video. I hope you enjoyed the skin set. I hope you enjoyed the video as well. It's always kind of difficult to make these because I don't want to ramble on for too much to stop people from seeing the skins, but at the same time, that's kind of YouTube, unfortunately. So I hope you enjoyed the entertainment value of this video whilst also seeing what the new skins are. But let me know what you think, whether it's a buy or a no buy. I think for me, the bundle overall is going to be a no buy, but the individual skins like the Spectre, I think it's a must-have, to be honest, because they look so good. And maybe there might be a Magepunk set in the future that could have a really nice Vandal. That's the hope for me personally, but let me know what you guys want, and be sure to check out the YouTube video tomorrow going over the patch notes. Thanks for watching, take care, we'll see you next time.